two new books by the Gentleman Club's own Marc.antomattei, coming this holiday and New Year's season, featuring over 100 entries of Japanese whiskey. Suntory Yamazaki Distillery, Yamazaki, where Japanese whiskey was born. The founder of Japanese whiskey, Shinjiro Tori. The history of Japanese whiskey making began with the passion of our founder, Shinjiro Tori. His dream to create a perfect whiskey that reflects the nature of Japan and the spirit of Japanese craftsmanship led Tori to embark on the difficult business of authentic domestic whiskey making that no one had ever attempted at the time. The history of Suntory whiskey and, consequently, the history of Japanese whiskey were begun by the fearless challenge undertaken Tori, who embarked on whiskey making after prevailing against the opposition he faced. The birthplace of Japanese whiskey making, Yamazaki Distillery. With his unwavering preference for high-quality water and natural environment that are vital in whiskey making, Shinjiro Tori selected the land of Yamazaki, located at the foot of Mount Tenno-san in southwestern Kyoto, from among several candidate sites. The land had been famous for its exquisite natural water, which is even mentioned in the Mannyo-shū, the oldest anthology of Japanese poetry. In 1923, construction of Japan's first malt whiskey distillery began. It was a significant first step for Tori in realizing his dream. In this way, Yamazaki became the birthplace of Japanese whiskey making, and the history of the distillery has been equivalent to the history of Japanese whiskey. Yamazaki's pristine water used in the early stages of whiskey making. Raw ingredients: malting and mashing. Malt whiskey is made from water and barley. We start by germinating and drying carefully selected two-row barley to produce malt. The malt is then finely ground and mixed with water into a mash tun, where enzymes in the malt break down the starch content into sugar. We then slowly filter the mixture to obtain clear, unclouded wort. In whiskey making, water is one of the key factors that determine the quality of whiskey. In the area surrounding the Yamazaki distillery, selected after a thorough search for quality water all over Japan, spring water named Rikyu no Mizu, water of the Imperial Villa, selected as one of the 100 best natural mineral waters in Japan, and continues to bubble forth today. For the processed water used at the Yamazaki distillery, this pure and high-quality groundwater that has been nurtured slowly over several eons of time is used. Diversity in the whiskey making, resulting in diversity of flavor. Wooden and stainless steel washbacks. Fermentation. Next, we transfer the filtered wort to our washbacks and add yeast. The yeast converts the sugars in the wort into alcohol and carbon dioxide while generating the distinctive flavor components that define whiskey. The fermented liquid that results from this process, called wash, can have many different characteristics depending on the factors such as the type of yeast used and the conditions under which it was fermented. At the Yamazaki distillery, both wooden and stainless steel washbacks are used to produce various types of whiskeys, while carefully selecting appropriate yeast from among the several types of yeast that would best suit the desired whiskey flavors. A variety of pot stills. Distillation. The wash produced during the fermentation is now transferred to pot stills to undergo the distillation process twice, which results in a liquid with high alcohol concentration called new make, a clear, colorless malt whiskey fresh from the stills. By this time, the framework of the whiskey's ultimate flavor profile is already in place. At Suntory, we select from among a variety of pot stills in different shapes and sizes, depending on the distinctive flavors we want to bring out in the whiskeys. Suntory is one of just a tiny handful of distilleries around the world that work with several different types of pot stills. Persistence to cask maturation. Aging. The distilled new make is then placed in cask, where they will slowly age and mature. Maturation is a complex process of flavor development that depends on a variety of conditions. Each details like the size, shape, material, and storage location of cask, or the climate of the region, can make the same new make mature differently. The possible combinations are truly endless, and it is truly the mystery of cask maturation. In this way, Suntory's diversity in the whiskey-making process from malting, mashing, fermentation, and distillation through cask maturation allows it to produce about 1.2 million casks of whiskeys, each with distinctive flavors. The skill of master blenders brings out a variety of flavors. Vatting, blending. Finally, a variety of whiskeys matured in cask are handed over to the care of blenders, and they evaluate the extent of maturation of each cask and carefully select whiskeys that will best be vatted into a final product with exactly the right characteristics. Our blenders taste up to 200 or 300 types of whiskey a day and predict when each cask will be at its best and when it should be used. These skillful craftsmen also manage our collection of whiskeys by foreseeing what kind of whiskeys will be needed in the future. Whiskey making that requires a long period of time, starting from malting through final vatting, to determine the flavors of products can be considered as collaborative work between blenders of the past, present, and future. Cherishing Shinjiro Tori's dream as we take the art of crafting whiskey into the future. Suntory's high-quality whiskey has not only been satisfying the Japanese palate, but also been gaining global recognition as Japanese whiskey. In an effort to create even more distinctive whiskeys for the future, we built additional stills at the Yamazaki Distillery in 2013, followed by the Hakushu Distillery the following year. We will continue to craft whiskey in a way that stays true to the original dream of our founder Shinjiro Tori, respecting the time-honored skills of our craftsmen while taking up new challenges with a view to the distant future, 10, 20, even 50 years down the road.